Hey everyone, Eenies20. I'm still kind of... It's been about 5-10 minutes since I finished Future Redeemed, and I'm still kind of like... I got a lot of feelings. What do we got here? Part of the deal, Origins Memories, Gondor's Path. The Ark, Klaus's World. Niall's Dream, Alpha. Release the Power. Alright, oh man, I'm trying to think, what it is that I have to talk about first? Because there is a lot that was just all slammed into that last hour. I'll reiterate once again, the, on Prison Island is peak. It is home to peak moments. That is Xenoblade 1, that is freaking where you fight Metalface, and you unlock the Monado 2, you meet Zanza for the first time. You defeat Metalface, like you actually can defeat a face Mechon. Fiora shows up even though you thought she was dead the whole time. And it's like, oh shit, what's going on? And then when you come back, it's for the end of the game, and that's like your final battle with fucking Dixon, you know? And it's insane. And then here we come back to Prison Island again for fight against N, who I don't give a shit about. I don't like... People always be like, oh, N's the best villain of Xenoblade 3, and like I said, I think during the Let's Play, if everyone else is F tier and you're C tier, then sure. But there's nothing special about him. Or at least he just, I don't know. Like, best villain, sure. Best villain of 3, sure. Still doesn't mean much to me. That said, everything on Prison Island for here, Xenoblade 3, it's like they got infected by the quality of Prison Island storytelling in the past, and it was awesome. The Prison Island sequence with the end boss fight, and then the cutscene after with N and Matthew, and the flashback with Gondor and Niall, that was all excellent. Like, that was really legitimately very good. Especially seeing Gondor, everything about Gondor come to fruition. It was really good. So I was happy with that, and I maintain now, as I think about it, good. Like, chapter 4, like, holy shit, like, all this is like intro. Like, getting you into here, and it's like in the middle of chapter 3 and then to 4 and 5, it's just nonsense. It's crazy. It's good. Not that the beginning was bad. No way. I enjoyed the beginning. And then it got you expect most things, they start someplace and they get good, like they ramp up. This was a crazy ramp up. Like, it was like, it started like, okay, yeah, I'm into this, and just bam, 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 craziness by the end of it. Just quality. And for me, I was trying to think, okay, hang on. Maybe it's just because of the ending. And so I'm thinking about it, now I'm trying to think about the DLC as a whole. And it is definitely, like, I'm trying to think how to say this. There's a point in DLC where you have nothing to do. Basically, I want to say that. And that's at, like, cause it just starts with Matthew and A looking for people. You know, then they bump into Glimmer and Nickel. Then Glimmer runs away. Then you gotta find her down. You bump into Shulk and Rex, and they take you to Colony 9. And admittedly, that chunk there where you guys are going to Colony 9, I was thinking, what do we do when we reach Colony 9? Because, like, it's not like Matthew has any other overarching goal. Mobius isn't doing shit. You know, like, I mean, well, they only got in our way because we got in their way. That's when we killed Q and R. Right? Q and R? Whatever. And then W showed up. But after that, they just kind of like fucked off, you know? And then... So I was like, so what are we gonna do when we reach Colony 9, you know? And then, like, the next story beat is the distress call that leads you to Niall, that reveals Alpha, and then it leads into fucking everything else, you know? And it's like, okay, that was it. So, like, it feels almost like there's no end goal, and that's why I was so confused about what the end game would be, is because for the first 3 chapters, there's really no ultimate end goal. Like, it's just Matthew wants to find his people, and he wants to find Niall. You know, and it's like, okay, like, that's fine. But what does that mean? You know, like, what will that... And holy shit, did it lead somewhere that I was not fucking expecting. At all. Because, like I said when the ending was happening, I heard about the radio, as in, I've heard people talk about... Like a tweet, let's say, it says, like, I can't believe so much discussion is being had over a radio, or something like that. It's, like, really nonplussed. I didn't even realize it was for Xenoblade 3 until way later, and I'm like, there's a radio? And I was trying to think, like, was there a radio in the base game? I doubt it. Have I missed a radio in the DLC? That was my thought. I thought maybe I missed, like, there's a side quest or something that I didn't do that has a radio in it. I don't know. But actually listening to the fucking radio was insane. That thing fucking out of control. In the best way. Like, well, there's my other point. There's the sticking point, though, but it has nothing to do with Xenoblade 1, 2, or 3 as of right now, so let's stick with 3. So we get that nonsense aside, we get, like, Matthew has that great debate with Niall, that great, goddamn, Matthew's great. I know maybe I jumped the gun like 30 minutes into the game saying I like Matthew more than Noah, but now that I'm done, Matthew stomps all over Noah. He's such a better character in like every single way. And I mean that as in someone who, it's got to be just the way that he is, I think. It's just like his personality, his character, his style is just something that more lines up with me versus Noah. Like, people like Noah. People like his personality. I don't. And so I guess ultimately it's a preference thing, I guess. I mean, a lot of things are a preference thing. But for me, Noah really didn't stand out at all. Compared to Shulk and Rex, fucking nothing. Matthew's fucking great. I love Matthew. He's fantastic. Like, just something about him being so, I don't know, I got nothing else to say about it. Matthew's great. So one moment from the ending that fucking blew my mind, when Rex said, if only they were here, I thought he was talking about Pyra and Mithra, because if he had, like, their actual power, he could fucking do anything. Like, with their power, he's literally unstoppable. And then they did the panning shot. They showed that fucking Matthew has the Aegis Core Crystal in his fist, and I'm like, wait, is that where they are? And then I'm like, that blade that's being passed down is, because Pyra and Mithra, they can construct a blade. That's what Rex's weapons were in Xenoblade 2. Is they were blades. Those weapons they held, those swords were from their power. It's like if it gets broken, which it does, they can just reform it because it's a part of them. And it's like, yeah, here. So that means that blade was made of them, from them. They like created it, the fists. And there's two of them, and I thought what I had said was that he had the Aegis Core Crystal on one, the green one, and then the purple one on the other, but it never showed the other one. In fact, when I thought about it again, the scene shifted from N's fucking sword to the fist that Noah has, and all of a sudden I was like, that Matthew has. God damn it. I still make that mistake. I think I should be forgiven for that mistake, even though I can't fucking, like, gosh. I mean, what can you do? I spent over 100 hours with Noah. It's ingrained in my brain. And I mean, they have the family resemblance as is intended. But like when I realized, I think Rex might have been meaning the Trinity processor as a whole. So like Pyra, Mithra, and Malos. But I'm like, Rex, you killed the fuck out of Malos. He's not coming back. But like they showed his sword. End sword, the sword of the end, and I'm like, does it have? It can't have Malice's core crystal on it. His core crystal's gone. But if Origin is indeed the bullshit record of everything that has been and everything that will be, then it has the memory of Malice's existence in it, and so that could possibly play into how this sword came to be. Even though it makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's not that it doesn't make sense. I guess ultimately there doesn't have to be a reason. I guess they're following the Shulk and Zanza logic, where Zanza reveals that the reason that he inhabited Shulk was because he was there. And Dixon was like, well, there you have it. It could have been anyone, but it was good old. Oh shit. Oh, I don't have to do the boss fight. I could just leave. Okay. Yeah, good. I wanna. Bye. Bye, Alvis. Alpha. We'll see you again some other time. So yeah. So I guess the explanation for Noah is just that he's just the guy. It just so happened he happened to be the one who wound up with the sword at the end. that has to be the explanation, because it's not like they're gonna do anything else with it. The game's over. Not that I'm like mad about it or anything. It's just, you know, that's the truth of it. Like, at least as far as I'm aware. Like, I could be totally off, but I don't think they gave any reason for why, let's say, Noah would be special. Because, I mean, Noah's not even the one that, like, the original Noah has the sword at the end. Malus is what do I say? Which is like Malus, which they seem to imply has something to do with Malus, or at the very least the Trinity processor as a whole. So, with and then there's Lucky 7, which fucking whatever. Like, I know Riku's explanation was that Melia said that there are important people, like the souls of people in Lucky 7, and I'm just like, what do you mean? And like, I'm trying to remember if they mean it literally. Like, oh, don't you get it? Like, all the characters that you knew from Xenoblade 1 and 2 are in the sword. Like, they're souls. Like, literally, they're in there. And I'm like, why? Well, I mean, I know why, because the fusion of the worlds, but like, I don't know. Like, it really adds an awkward wrinkle to it when Noah just decides to fucking throw the sword away at the end of 3. Just saying. So like,
let's bash them good. We have the
I don't know, I have questions, but that seems to be what they were implying by lining up Rex's them with the fucking sword and Noah's fist, which we literally just found out has the Aegis core crystal inside of it. Like, what the hell, right? So I'm looking for because like, as much as I would like to just stay on the press start screen and keep talking bullshit, it's probably better, more interesting to have like some footage. So pardon me while I just do random assorted things. Anyway.
Let's bash them good.
I hope there's a genuine need for this.
Great!
It's on my side too.
That's Grandad's training paid off. I'll be your opponent. That's a big help.
After that, the rest of the ending just kind of plays out. We defeat Alvis by finally utilizing the true power of Ouroboros, which is the big crazy thing to fuse. Although it fused all of us. Like all 7 of us? Did it fuse Linka and Panacea too? Probably did. I don't know if it did Riku. But whatever.
Looking good.
I'm fine if it didn't bring Riku into it. I mean, who needs the Nopon? But yeah, just that, something about that whole thing where it's like, oh, that Lucky 7 has everybody in it. It's like, I don't know, it bothers me a little bit. I don't know how to, I don't know. I guess it's just, as someone who likes the Xenoblade 1 and 2 cast, like, kind of like trying to line up that that's their fate annoys me. Although I do think it was, like, that's just it. That's just it. It's like, it feels like that's what they want to do with the Xenoblade 1 and 2 people, and I don't like it because I love the Xenoblade 1 and 2 people so much. But I feel like that's exactly what they kind of thought people would be feeling for the ending, and so they had to have Rex and Shulk specify out the ass, no, we're not killing ourselves. We're just gonna do this, and when everything is okay, we'll be back to normal. So don't worry. Fucking Molotov is not killing off the cool heroes from the first 2 games for the sake of the shit heroes of the 3rd one. Okay, we're still around. That's how it felt to me, you know? Like, I was, honestly though, I'm glad they specified. Like, as, like, yes, thank you for specifying, because based off of everything else that, like, all the other little hints, they were, like, really foreshadowing that they were gonna fucking die, and I'm like, you don't get to do this. You don't get to bring back the fucking heroes of 1 and 2 and then just axe them off. Like, I'm sick. I like, in terms of media, I've just gotten sick of that happening literally fucking everywhere else. Where they bring back original heroes, old heroes, legacy characters, and then they shit on them in one way or another, or they just kill them off and transfer anything that was interesting about them to literally to anyone else. And I'm just like, don't do that, please. Like, that's not cool. So as over the top as I guess someone could potentially see Rex and Shulk being like, we're not dying, by the way. I'm glad they specified it. Like, I know I was saying that I laughed at it, and it wasn't so much laughing, it was just be like, okay, thank God that they're saying this, because holy shit. Oh, fuck, damn it, that was a bad mistake. Oh well, I mean, it's not gonna matter. I'll make the ether lift to go down to the other region later. It's not like it matters, because I'm not gonna record it anymore. This is the last thing, just talking about it as a whole. So, the one thing I'm trying to convince myself is, like, do I like Future Redeem more than Xenoblade 3? And I've been thinking about it. Ooh, God Reading Altar. So, is that the reward in and of itself, just the secret area? I thought there'd be like a relic up here, or like a special unique monster maybe, but no, it's just, yeah, there's a unique area up here. You can only get up here if you have a black crystal. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I'm good with it. I'm not gonna complain. Thank you. Gimme. And yeah, like, my worries aside, like once again, like I said, I felt like there was a part of the story where they didn't have a goal. And that was like the one thing that I was a little worried about in terms of, so what's the goal? But, you know, they turned it around by the end of it, and so I'm satisfied with that. The other issue, well, it's not an issue. It's like the singular other thing that bugged me about the DLC is there was a single, like, well, maybe there's more, because, I mean, I've been playing this DLC for like 20 hours, so maybe I forgot something that annoyed me. But there was a moment with Rex, Glimmer, and Linka that, like, pissed me off. I'm just like, fucking stupid. And that was when Rex and Shulk were like, all right, we know you guys want to come with us to Nicole and Glimmer, and you want to help us fight Alpha, but nope, you guys are weak sauce. It's like, stay home. You know, and they had that whole fight. Like, Glimmer was trying to figure out why Rex was being such a dick. You know, and she's like, "What? Why does he care so much? Why is he so blah 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 blah?" And you know, and then Rex is and it's like, "What's his problem?" or whatever. And then like Linka takes like the most judgmental, annoying tone I've ever heard, and she's just like, "You don't even know the half of it." Like, she's blaming Glimmer for her reaction to Rex's reaction, and I'm like, well, you see, no, of course she doesn't know the half of it, because you and Rex made the conscious decision to not tell her or Linkle anything about their Nicole about their origins, which I understand. I understand. As much as I would have loved to actually have Glimmer and Nicole figure out who they are, I also know that it would have been a very big problem to have. Like, it's the kind of thing that they can't really get into in a DLC, you know, with the limited story time they have. And it's a very difficult thing to try to explain as well. It's like, oh yeah, you're basically our kids in the real world, you know, like that kind of thing. There would be a lot of baggage to unpack with it, and I don't think they can manage it in a limited frame of time frame. You know what I'm saying? Where is this stuff? Is it underneath? Well, anyway, so that aside, it annoyed me. Like that part where she's like, you don't know the half of it. It's like, stop giving Rex a hard time. You don't know the truth. I'm like, yes, of course she doesn't, because you didn't tell her, and you're not going to. Unless they made plans to tell her, then they really have no right to be upset that she's upset, that he's upset. You know, that was one point that I didn't comment on, but I remember hearing and being like, ugh, I don't like this. Anyway. Anything else about the ending specifically? I think, once again, I'm happy what they did with Alpha. Like I said before, I thought bringing back Alvis was stupid and they shouldn't have done it. But the fact that they went out of the way to be like, yeah, no, he's not actually Alvis. He's like a different version of the character. Basically, he looks like him, he sounds like him, but that's not Alvis. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm cool with that. I greatly prefer that answer. Yeah, the final boss fight was great. The music was awesome. Like, he was tough, but like I was able to get it done and I didn't die, you know, unlike with the end fight, which, to be fair, N is just, he's N, and it annoys me. His abilities annoy me greatly. Where the frick are these mass signals? Anyway, but yeah, so not N. So we got done with Alpha. He said bye to Matthew. Had a moment, faded away. And I also do like that, once again, they had to reiterate that, yes, we know that by doing this the way that we're doing it, we're literally leaving origin with no defenses, and Zed's just gonna grab it and he's gonna throw everything into shithole territory for thousands of years. I'm sure when Rex and I mean they did say it, but I'm like, there's no way you guys actually thought that it would take them thousands of years to fix the problem. But it did, unfortunately. Sorry. Sorry, bros. Sorry about that. Oh well, what can you do? Anyway. So yeah, that ending was nice. I liked it. And then of course having everybody like preparing to make the second city, which is the one we go to in the game, so we know everything about it. Yeah, now it's funny how much this makes me dislike Gondor even more, considering that like I wasn't sure what to think about Gondor when they said, yeah, he's Noah and Mio's son who dies. But like actually seeing his whole thing and his thought process behind it, I was like, yeah, dude's cool. I like him. Like very much so. Wait, have I never been here? I could've. Oh no, yeah, this looks exactly like the hidden area in the Aurora Shelf. It even has the same chest here. Alright. That's why I got confused. I was like, I thought I'd already been here. Apparently not. Anyway. But yeah, I like Gondor. I actually think Gondor's pretty cool now, and old Gondor, and I actually dislike young Gondor even more, given her hatred for her name and her utter disrespect for Monica. Like, her disrespect for Monica was one thing, and now her disrespect for fucking Gondor is another. It's fucking crazy how unlikable she is. I can't believe people want her to lead a Xenoblade game. So yeah, that wraps that up. I think that's everything I had to talk about. I'm still mad. Like the one thing that bugged me is simply as a fan of Xenoblade 1 and 2, and of the cast of those games, and of the relationships, that I didn't get anything. And I guess on the one hand, it's like, oh, the Windy Cave, cool.
Sweet.
On the one hand, it's like, but I mean, you had an entire game. You had like a whole 60-hour game, Xenoblade 1, developing with Shulk and Fiora. You had a whole game, 60-hour game, Xenoblade 2 with Rex, Pyra, and Mithra. And like, yeah. So what, were the DLC supposed to have more of that? I'm like, I guess not, but man, I love those pairings. I love the couplings. They're my OTPs, as the nerd says. So it's just, I mean, can you call Rex, Pyra, and Mithra an OTP? Well, whatever, you know what I mean. So I was just sad that I literally got crumbs, if anything, despite actually being hooked onto the thing from the start. Also, hey, look, I found someone. Oh, she's been looking for us, huh? Like, just go home. We're all cool. Clarity. Oh, she's another of his super old-time friends. If you've been sitting in this cave this whole time, then I can totally understand it. But yay, we got a new friend from Matthew. That's more stuff that I'll be doing on my own time, because I definitely do, just for the heck of it, I do want to 100% this. Because I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed A Future Redeemed so much more than I did base Xenoblade 3. Like, for this cast, I enjoy them so much more. Like, granted, I will say, I know I saw a few comments of people making like a tier list and putting like Niall at the top. It's like the best character. I'm like, people are really attached to cat girls. Like, no offense, but like I'm not even a big fan of Nia or Mio. Like, I don't particularly care about either of them. But they had way more to them than Niall, which is not entirely her fault so much as just the fact that she was, you know, Alpha's vessel for like the entirety of the DLC, so you didn't actually get as much with her. But you did, I mean, you at least got her flashbacks about how caring she was and about how kids dying and everything kind of affected her, and like, I did like that. But it's just weird to take something so small considerably and like it so much. She's fine. But like and I guess that's ultimately what I could say about most of the Xenoblade 3 cast is, ooh, another hidden area? I'm on a roll. Tranquil Bluffs.
Nice.
Dang. This looks great. Whole world out there to not explore. What is this? It's like probably tied to a quest, I bet. It's kind of like how when you're running around Bionis Leg and you can find, I think it's Bionis Leg, you can find like those gravestones or whatever that you have to put plants at later for a different quest. Well, I say I'm good at finding this stuff, even though I mean there are question marks in the map to point you in that direction. Anyway. Oh yeah, there's an intervention over here. I should go do that one. Yeah, I mean, really, none of the Xenoblade 3 casts just stand out to me. And, like, I mean, they're fine, but that's really it. That's, like, when I was trying to describe them in my head, I'm like, yeah, they're fine. Like, Lanz is okay. There's, like, another take on Ryan. He's fine, but I always prefer Ryan. Uni's fine, Mio's fine, Tion's fine, even though I like Tion's personality is something that I don't like. And his Mondo's stupid, but he's fine, whatever. It's like really just Senna and Noah that I think are on a lower scale than everybody else. Like everybody else is like fine / okay. Senna's like oh okay, you can't see me, I just shrugged. Because like she doesn't do much of anything. Like, I mean, to be fair, that's just the game seemed to choose just that she's the one that they don't care about when it comes to the main cast. And Noah, I've already talked at length about how much I just don't really care about Noah. DLC cast, on the other hand, is fucking great. Matthew's the best. Like, he's awesome. I love him. A's cool. I think she's great, too. Like, this as another take on Alvis and, like, that whole type of personality is very cool. Pulls it off great. Shulk and Rex are Shulk and Rex. I guess that's cheating, but they're Shulk and Rex. And then Glimmer and Nicole, like, the advantage that they have is simply that they're the offspring of Shulk and Rex. Like, that's not their only thing, but that's a very good thing to have. Is he dead? Or is he... Okay, he's not dead. Cool. Oh, wait, no, he is dead. Shit. Alright. I wasn't sure. I thought the only reason we ran in all the people we came across before were dead was because we didn't have a place to drop them off. So it's like, well, where are you gonna tell them to stay, you know, right? Like what are you gonna do? Once we got Colony 9 and then they started surviving, so I just assumed that they would always survive. Apparently not. How do I get to these ruins down here? Anyway, yeah, the cast is just great. Like, Nicole and Glimmer, like, goddamn. I wish, you know what? I'm gonna say the thing that I know that people hate. I saw this prompt beforehand. I saw this way before this DLC was even fully revealed, when still the only thing that we had, I think, was the swords. I don't remember. I don't think this was from after the teaser. But I'm gonna say it anyway. People were talking about how they hope that when the DLC comes out, that people don't think that that's what Xenoblade 3 should have been, like just references and like callbacks and like characters and stuff. And it's like, no, that's not what Xenoblade 3 should have been. If the DLC is that, that's fine, but like not the main game. And I'm like, now after having played it, DLC should have been the main game. If this was actually Xenoblade Chronicles 3, if this whole thing was expanded into like a 60-hour adventure, or we could actually have more Rex and Glimmer, Nicole and Shulk bonding, maybe even revealing who they actually are. I don't know. Amazing. Absolutely fantastic. That would have been incredible. Because let's face it, they waited until this DLC to explain a lot of stuff that the main game just fucking ignores. Which is still a big problem for Xenoblade 3 as a whole. Like when they talk, like there's just a lot. Like whether it's, I don't know. I just feel like just based off the ending alone and seeing about like the core crystals, the fact like that are in Matthew's fists, and then Sword at the end, and just all that shit, just Oh, that died fast. It really strikes me that that should have been that. I just absolutely would have loved it if this was the game. If 60 hours of this was what I had played months ago,
This is pretty rare, right?
I would have been so much happier. And of course, the question then becomes, well, how's the ending? Like, how about the ending though? Like, nothing gets resolved. Like, I mean, things get resolved, but like the worlds are still stuck together. And I'm like, would you want the main game to then become the DLC? And I'm like, well, that's a fundamental problem on Xenoblade 3's concept as a whole, the worlds fusing nonsense, and that's just something that unfortunately would have to be worked around some way. I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers. I just think that as an experience, I would have greatly preferred playing this for 60 hours versus what I did play. And I say 60 hours as a roundup figure. I think my final time when I finished the story of Xenoblade 3 was,
A most uncommon
I actually don't know, closer to 100 probably, just because that's how it usually is for Xenoblade games. Please don't die.
Youch! Youch!
Nope. Right, the lacquer stone. I need that for a lot of stuff here that I've just been avoiding. Or not avoiding, but missing.
Youch!
Yeah. Anyway, I think that is enough, and now I know that there is something else incredibly important that people want me to talk about. And not me specifically, but I think it's the kind of thing that everybody has been losing their shit over, and for completely understandable reasons. And that is that closed or open? That is closed. And that is the goddamn radio. Oh my gosh. So, fuck, man. That fucking radio.
Youch!
Didn't make it. Shit, fuck. Oh, there's something over there too. I want that. Don't die, Noah. I mean, god damn it. It's still doing it. For all this time, still, some people are trying to be like, oh, you can't remember his name, so you don't actually care about him that much. It's like, brr, 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 brr. But that fucking radio, holy shit. Alright, well, I'm gonna go back and watch the cutscene and with all you, and we'll talk about it as the news report goes on. Oh yeah, Niall's here too now. See her illustration? Cool. Who's her voice actor? Ellie Kendrick. Okay. I didn't think I would know who it is, but it's nice actually to just see her on here with everybody else. Clearly something they thought to avoid from the main game, where you can see everyone's like silhouettes before I even meet them.
Okay, it's all
Not that
back.
that ever really bugged me, but I know that other people had a slight issue with it.
Well, Barry, don't you think this weather we're having is just perfect?
Alright, here we go with the damn radio.
Come, you're...
It's such a
Last
wonderful
night's
place,
momentous
isn't it?
occasion.
I've always
Alright.
dreamed of this. A place we could live together.
Yes, let's talk more about that.
To call home. And not
Assholes.
just for you and me, but for everyone we know.
Every who?
At midnight on the 16th, the first Radamanthus spaceport saw the launch. Once again, as I say, Radamanthus is, I believe, one of the 3, like, satellites or something that were used to construct the orbital station at the top. I believe the Radamanthus one is obviously the one you go through, but there are 2 others. I think this information might have been in the back, now that I think about it, might have been on the back of the Siren kit. I could be wrong, either that or in some specific art book for Xenoblade 2, but I know that's a fact because, spoiler for what we're about to get into, in my Xenoblade Chronicles X fanfic, I use the 3 names of the space stations for the military academies in pre-Exodus Earth. So, like, there's a Radamanthus Academy where the main characters trained at and they learned and stuff like that before they officially joined the Coalition Armed Forces. And then there's another one that they mentioned that they do joint training exercises with. I forget what the other name is, but I know I gave it one of the other names. And then there's a third one that I didn't get into, but it is part of Noah's Cradle, which is the main city where a lot of stuff takes place before the Exodus in my Xenoblade Chronicles X fanfic. So, like, that name has been in my brain ever since Xenoblade 2. Because Radamanthus is definitely in Xenoblade 2. I believe that's what they call the first landmark when you get up to the space station. Also, they say the spaceport is, so I assume it's up there. Either that or it's just called that because, like, an airport has airplanes, a spaceport has spaceships. saw launch of Earth-Life Colonization Project's 8th mothership, the Icarus. The EC-fucking-P. Once again, we're diving into something I don't know how many people know. Because I know that when it comes to Xenoblade, I know people have been arguing, not arguing, but I've heard in some place people consider Xenoblade to now be like one of Nintendo's flagship titles, or at least big, and I'm like, maybe I wouldn't go that far, but like as much as I love them, I wouldn't go that far. But let's say that in a series that is well known, X is like not that. That's the one that the least amount of people have played for varying reasons, I believe. So for those who don't know, the ECP, the Earth-Life Colonization Project, is a foundation founded on Earth before the Exodus, whose goal was to create Ark ships to save the population of Earth from the incoming extinction. Which is when the ghosts and the ganglions show up and attack the Earth, they use the ECP's arcs to get everybody the fuck out of there, you know? And the only arc I think that we know of is the White Whale, the L002. That's the name that it was given. Just talking about the Icarus, which is their 8th one. Once again, assuming this is the same ECP, which presents a weird situation, but we'll get to that later.
When did they...
480,000 settlers to... So, gosh, it's just like how Alvis says it in the end when after we beat him, or when we're fighting him, while he's talking about how humanity had everything. They had like incredible technology, and they could travel to the far sides of the Milky Way, to places that they live, to set up new lives, and they still destroyed themselves. And so one reason why he doesn't believe life is worth saving, or at least this life. The Icarus is the 8th interstellar colony ship dispatched as part of Project Exodus. Yes, you already said that.
I'm hungry.
Wait, no, but this actually mentions specifically Project Exodus. Which, once again, that's the overall name of the project. The Earth-Life Colonization is like the governmental part of it, and this is what they're doing.
Can we have a snack? Okay. All right, wash your hands.
They sent 3 million people off Earth.
And then make a line. Because today
That's
I've
very
made
crazy. And they want to the coalition government plans to send out 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 5 more over the course of the year. Isn't Earth-Life Colonization Project Exodus, coalition government? That's all Xenoblade Chronicles fucking X. That's all Xenoblade X. That's all Xenoblade X. So, like, naturally, which they will also bring this up later, the one sticking point, there's a few sticking points exactly about this, about the fact that Klaus's world is actually the Earth of Xenoblade X, and that those events all line the fuck up together. There's an issue with that, and here's the issue. Trying to figure out how to word it. What we know of how the Earth was destroyed differs. In Xenoblade 2, the story that's given is that a war is fought on, like, something happens to the Earth itself that ruins it and causes everybody to move into space, to live in the space stations, and then some disagreement between the different factions out there, one of which is the Saviorites, who are known as the Saviorite rebels, causes a war in space that's threatening to destroy everything that's left. You know, I think Klaus, someone puts it that they destroyed the Earth and now they were going to burn the skies above, something like that. Someone says that. And Ion was their way of stopping the Saviorites. But then Klaus hijacks Ion, he takes the conduit, he does the thing, and then the thing happens. And then it creates the Xenoblade 1 world of the Bionis and Mechonis with Zanza in some other dimension or in some other reality. And everything that's left behind, the destroyed Earth and Klaus, all by himself, would go on to become Xenoblade 2. Because 2 worlds weren't actually created after the end of when the project happened. Unless I'm mistaken, someone can correct me on this. The world of Xenoblade 2 was not created by the experiment. The experiment took all life away that was left, and everything except for apparently half of Klaus's body. And he then took it upon himself, as he explains in the ending of Xenoblade 2, to reconstruct everything with the Cloud Sea, and that creates Allrest. And so Allrest is that. So Allrest is the world on top of the old world. Right? And then the problem... Because they blame it on the savior rights, and in Xenoblade Chronicles X, the reason that the world is destroyed is specifically because of the ghosts and the ganglion. This is something that we know, and that humanity, as part of the coalition government and everything that was left, the Ark ships, they took off, and then the fighting caused the Earth to potentially be destroyed. Of course, we have that stupid line from Lynn at the end of the game where it's like, well, maybe the Earth's not destroyed, which is like, what? Granted, I think if I recall the sequence of events in the Xenoblade X opening specifically, I think the white whale escapes the Earth before it gets blown up. So I don't think anyone on the white whale actually sees that happen. But then again, if they don't, how could they be so sure Earth was destroyed? And I guess all you have to do is watch the cutscene. Because, like, whenever ghost ships or ganglion ships get shot down, they crash into the Earth and create gigantic craters, wiping out, like, halves of entire continents. So I think it's fair to say, yeah, the Earth's kind of fucked. But the savior rights and the ghosts and ganglion are both something totally different, you know? So it can't be exactly the same. That's a thing. But of course, once again, hang on a minute. There's something else.
The ninth vessel, departing in July, heralds a new generation of
Ultra long range colony ships. The ninth.
officially as Philadelphia-class motherships.
Philadelphia-class motherships.
There's plenty to go around.
Because the ones that I think they sent out can only hold, like, what, up to 500,000? I think they said 455,000 people, but these new ones can, like, triple that?
Just let me know if you want seconds.
It's pretty crazy.
Meaning that if all goes to plan, the project will send a total of 10 million people out into the great beyond.
Are there that many people on Earth?
Now for our next story. It concerns...
That doesn't make any... Because, like, once again, let's take Lao's fucking words from the end of Xenoblade. Once again, of course, there's a sticking point. And this is completely, what's the word? Solved, quote-unquote, by something that happens later. But he says... Oh, wait, no. Right. Never mind. The humans on Earth are measured in billions, not millions. My bad.
Human Rights Protection Bill.
The Savior Right Human Rights Protection Bill, brought to Congress last summer. The Savior Rights Human Rights... They're trying to pass a bill to grant human rights protections to the Savior Rights. So then the Savior Right rebels aren't human. Because if they were, then obviously they would have their inalienable rights, right?
Brought to Congress last summer. Earlier
See?
today, we heard that
13 authorities have petitioned against it. Who are the 13 authorities?
Isn't this great?
have petitioned
There's no room for woes or worries here.
and as the Justice
The Justice Ministry's 7th Special Commission on Human Rights debates once more on its validity. Special Commission on Human Rights. They're debating whether it's valid to grant Savior Rights human rights or not.
Nothing to ruin our
What's a
happiness.
Savior Right that they're having such a trouble
Out there,
with this?
there's a world like this waiting.
seems more and more
A place for new lives to live as they please.
the proposed
Has sparked a lot of public debate, so many will be watching the government and the commission very
Just
closely.
like this.
public debate.
Niall,
So many will be
you
watching the
can't.
government and the commission very
It was
closely.
promised to me. By him.
About the bill failing to make it all the way through the legislative process. And it's made it this far. It's made it to Congress, right?
Him.
So it's coming along pretty far from what my middle school knowledge of bills and rights and laws recalls from the I'm Just a Bill song. I think it's
Person with the silver
almost
hair and
out.
kind eyes.
And indeed,
It seems to be exactly what's happening right now.
exactly what's happening right now.
He gave us this beautiful world.
And now,
Dmitry Yuriev, council person from the Minos Authority. So there's 13 authorities that are opposing this, and the Minos Authority is one of them. Unless I'm crazy, I think that's the name of what the other satellite that I'm thinking of. They had Radamanthus and Minos, I think. Could be Dmitry Yuriev, though. The name does not mean anything
if
to
we
me.
simply cast away the old lives.
Also, the other ladies, the other newscasters, their names also don't mean anything to me.
The matter at hand. Please stay
We
with
can set out, unburdened, and all this can be ours. You see?
Okay, we got through that. So
We
that's
don't need any of this.
fucking crazy. Of course, now I know some people will be like, why did they put that over like that scene? And to be fair, not to be like that guy. Niall and Matthew were not talking about anything specifically special while the news report was going on. She was just showing him the kids, and she's like, look, this place is so pretty. It's so good. It's so happy. It's so perfect. It's so good. And Matthew's just like, bullshit, you know? And then the important stuff literally starts happening after, when her voice drops, and she starts talking about how it's like, what the fuck is the point? Which I wanted to say at the time, and I didn't. She has such a hatred for the soldiers, and I get it, you know, considering all that they've taken from her. But as Matthew points out, and as we all know, and as I think everybody should know, that's just... Yeah, the soldiers do terrible things. They've been stuck in that loop. Once again, no time frame is actually actively given in this game for anything that's happening. We just know that Origin, that Ionios has been a thing for over 1,000 years. We don't know when this happens, and we don't know when Noah's shit happens, you know, to finally bring it all to an end. But the soldiers have just been doing that forever. That's just the thing that they do. They would like not to. And as Matthew tries to point out in another scene, they have soldiers in the city, former soldiers that they freed. And, you know, so like, I guess it's a hard thing where you can understand why, yes, when they do terrible things, of course, Niall would respond negatively. But they literally can't be helped. They just think that's it. Except for Noah, apparently, who's like, nah, there's more to this. Like, which he had those doubts even before he was freed from by Van Damme. Damn, that's crazy. And so then the last thing, which we have to talk about. Last thing. What was that post-credits scene? I've actually seen that also, but I didn't have any context for it. I just saw a planet, like, and like, I don't even remember if I saw the light traveling towards it. Nah. Okay, so shit. Number one, that was the world splitting apart at the end. They were separating, and then there were two worlds, and then they coalesced into one? Again? That wasn't part of the deal. Right? Like that... I have problems with that. Like, here's my interpretation is gonna be that the world split up, and the moment they did, they birthed the third one. And, like, that's the new world. And, like, Xenoblade 1 and 2, Alres and the Bionis worlds are just Agnes and Cavis. Fuck off. Who knows where they are? They went back to... Because they shouldn't even physically see each other. They exist on different planes, or whatever the word is. Dimensions? I don't know. But they exist in a way where they shouldn't be able to interact with each other in any way. So I think that they separated, they split up, they went their own ways, and they left behind this world. And why do I have that problem? Why do I hope that's what happened? For the same reason that I'm sure everybody on fucking Twitter has been losing their shit over. So here's the thing. And I instantly drew the conclusion because I saw some people talking about it. Like, I saw some people talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I just thought it was like a thing that they were talking about. Trust me, I'm not trying to lie to you when I say I didn't know anything. I've never heard that radio before. Like, not at all. And I follow people on Twitter who've been such big fans of Xenoblade Chronicles X. They talk about it all the fucking time. So it didn't mean anything to me. I'm like, oh look, they're talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X again. Okay. But having that on my brain and then listening to all this, like the logical conclusion, or not the logical conclusion, maybe the logical conclusion. One of the conclusions that you can draw from this is that that light headed for Earth is Elma. Because, of course it would be, right? She comes to Earth in 2024? Hang on. Yes. 2024, I believe, is the date that they say she comes to Earth. And 2054 is when the exodus of Earth, when everyone leaves and then the world gets destroyed. So she comes to Earth in 2024 to warn the people about the ghosts and the ganglion who are coming to destroy it, right? That was, from what I recall, that's why she came to the Earth. If that is what that little post-credit scene's supposed to be, holy shit. If it's not, what the fuck, right? It's like it's on two different schedules, because as I've said many times, it's not just Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that I have issues with. I have plenty with Xenoblade Chronicles X. Just being honest. And it's nothing to blame Xenoblade Chronicles X about. Like, I mean, well, how do I put it? A lot of the issues are the same. You know, it's just that whereas I think the world building and lore of Xenoblade 3 is stupid, the world building and lore of Xenoblade X is non-existent, basically. The way I see it, anyway. So I don't have the fondest recollection of it, the fondest thoughts of it, and the idea of bringing it into the fold is like, do I really want that one to be related to this one? I don't know, just because of how much I like the original thing, but gosh, this is really hard to think about and to say. Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's just because once again, let's say that the worlds did fuse again for some reason, and everything's okay, and then Elma comes to the world, and the events of Xenoblade Chronicles X plays out. You know what happens, right? The world blows up. How is that a reward that we should get for finishing 1, 2, and 3? How is that the resolution that anyone would want, right? It's not. So, it's not that. Like, it can't be that, and I refuse to accept that it's that, and I'll be like, fuck canon, that's not true. Like, the worlds did not fuse again after we destroyed Origin. Or after Noah destroyed Origin. After the company destroyed Origin. No. I'm not letting you have that one. Alright? Not doing it. That's my interpretation of it, and that's my reason for it. So I think that that's a separate world that follows the same growth pattern as the world that we saw, Klaus's world, but now it takes a different shift for reasons. Of course, that's me basing it. I'm basing all this off Xenoblade Chronicles X lore, the very little Xenoblade Chronicles X lore that we have about the time on Earth and the Exodus and the ECP and the Coalition from what we were told in Xenoblade Chronicles X, right? God, here's what I hope. Oh my god. If this really is like their way of maybe bringing what they established or tried to establish in Xenoblade Chronicles X into the fold, then I hope for the most unrealistic thing that they intend on rebooting Xenoblade Chronicles X. And that if the next game they want to make is related to X in any way, that it's a brand new game that takes the place of Xenoblade Chronicles X, that it retcons that one, and they do another one more in line with what we know and with a better told story and a better explained world and lore. That's what I hope. Do I think it'll happen? No. But also I think it would be weird to jump into an X sequel. I think that'd just be a bad idea overall. I know people disagree, but this is what I believe. So Xenoblade Chronicles, that's my thought. And of course, this is all fucking pointless speculation based on the fact that we just got this DLC like 2 weeks ago, and the next game that Microsoft wants to make, whether it's another Xenoblade or whether it's something totally new, could be 2-3 years out. So what's it matter, right? But that's just my hope. It's like, if they do want to return to now the X storyline, I would love it. I would absolutely love it if they retold it from scratch. I think that if they set X on Earth before the Exodus would be great. How they would do that, I don't know, but we got the Savior rights. We could use them for some conflict, I guess, you know? That's just my hope. Like, that's the reason why I wrote my fanfiction the way I did, with it taking place on Earth for the first half, and then in space, and then on Mira. It's just, I think there's a lot that could be explored on Earth. Like, of course, in writing, it's a lot easier to do, because when it's a game, it's like, well, we need something to do, you know? So, like, what's happening on Earth? What's the conflict that we can set up there as before the Exodus takes place? And it's like, yeah, that's a hard nut to crack, but I think it'd be interesting. The only other workaround is that it takes place on Mira, and then there's a bunch of flashbacks to time on Earth, something like that. Kind of akin to how this DLC had a lot of flashbacks to the old city and stuff like that. You know, maybe it could work, potentially, but I still think that just pre-Exodus Earth is a hotbed for stories, especially for establishing characters. Because that was an issue that Xenoblade X had, because it had so many characters. Barely any of them got any development. So, you know, giving yourself more time with it, like in a different setting, I think could help. But once again, all speculation. These are all just thoughts that I have. It's like, what, do you want it to be like your fanfic? Well, no. Like, my fanfic is like, I love my fanfic, and I think it's the best thing I've ever written, Xenoblade Chronicles Mira. The issue with it is that it would not translate at all to a game. Like, hell no. Like, there's barely enough action set pieces and, like, conflicts in it to necessitate gameplay. Unless you're going for, like, a Metal Gear Solid 4 type thing, which, nah. I love Metal Gear Solid 4, but I don't think it would take. Because this is way more than that, so no. I just think that that's a good place to start. For me. Maybe everyone else disagrees. That's fine. I'm not saying my answer is perfect. I'm just saying that it's my answer. Last thing, from what I saw in videos, apparently I think you can get Rex and Shulk in base Xenoblade 3 now if you finish the DLC. Cool. I have no desire to go back to base Xenoblade 3, but maybe just to check it out. Assuming you can do it and you don't have to New Game Plus it, because you have to New Game Plus it, then I'm absolutely not doing it. I don't want to play that story again. This one I would gladly play again though, but it doesn't seem to have a New Game Plus functionality. This DLC was good. I think I've gotten all my thoughts out. So, as of right now, here's the ranking for me. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I'm gonna put Torna and Future Redeemed next to each other, because I can't decide which one I like more. As of right now, because I just finished Future Redeemed. I'm not sure. But they go there. Future Connected. Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I think I'll be satisfied with that. For a long time I had X on the bottom, I had 3 on top of it. But, like, I don't know, it's hard to choose. I guess, because both of them succeed in the same things, and both of them fail in the same things, in my opinion. The one difference that X and 3 have is that X is its own thing. Well, who knows how long it'll stay its own thing, but for the moment X was its own thing, right? It tried to tell a story and a setting completely divorced of 1, and then in the future, of course, 2 and 3. It's like, technically it has nothing to do with them, right? The original X on Wii U, for say. 3, on the other hand, has everything to do with 1 and 2, or at least it claims it has everything to do with 1 and 2, and then it just does shit all with 1 and 2, you know? It's completely, I don't know if I'll go as far as say disrespectful, but it kind of doesn't care about 1 and 2. in the way that it tells its story and the way that events happen. At least, you know, as far as I saw it after I beat Xenoblade 3 and all these weeks and months that have passed since I beat Xenoblade 3. And so for a brand new story that tries and fails mostly to tell a story, and a brand new story that tries to be a sequel to two different games that I love and then utterly fails to be that, I had more investment in 3. And it really didn't pay off. So that's why I would put 3 at the bottom. Of course, if we're gonna bundle the DLC with the games, it becomes a little trickier there because of how good Future Redeemed is. Though once again, I just beat it, so maybe it's gonna stay in my brain as being really good. But if I was to rank it that way, then I think it would still be 213X. Just by the value of Future Redeemed being enough to pump it over the edge. But that's how I go. And there we have it. That is this Let's Play done for good. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm glad that I've come out of this happier, and I'm glad I've enjoyed Future Redeemed more. I know that I was probably salty a lot during it, but those are just personal problems, you know. Just certain little things that that I just wish had happened that didn't happen, and it's like, well, what can you do, you know? But thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Until then. Hasta. Should have been Al Weaver.